It's the dozenth day of the Haru Basho. Let's get into the results. Today, starting us off, is Tobizaru at 4-7 versus Takeru Fuji, who's coming up from Juryo with a 5-6 record. Tobizaru gets blasted back immediately all the way to one side, almost gets slapped back down, trying to force his way back in, and then gets shoved all the way to the other side to go out and claim his Makekoshi. So Takeru Fuji goes back to Juryo with an even record. Kotoeho versus Asanoyama, both men at 7-4 today. Asanoyama immediately gets his favorite outside left and marches Kotoeho straight out of the dohyo for his Kachikoshi, so good news for him. Fuji Ryoga at 6-5 comes up against Osho Umi at 2-9. They collide hard in the middle, and Fuji gets under the armpits and fights hard to lift him up and out, but Osho Umi manages to force him off, eventually getting an outside left-hand grip and going chest to chest with him. They sort of cuddle back and forth a bit before Osho Umi starts moving him backwards and eventually goes for a right-handed Sotogake outside leg trip to get a nice win on him. So his record's not great, but he looks to be finishing strong. Chiyoshoma at 6-4 versus Roga at 4-7. Now, historically, these guys are at 2-2. Chiyoshoma's been versatile throughout this tournament. Today, he goes for an extended throat attack and follows it through all the way to out of the ring to hand Roga his Makekoshi. So Chiyoshoma, one win away from a winning record. Toki Hayate comes up against Mitakeumi, both men at 5-6 today. Toki Hayate has won the last 3 meetings in a row. However, today Mitakeumi gets his left-hand inside grip and charges hard forward to even up their rivalry and push him out to get his 6th win. Nishiki Fuji at 5-6 comes up against Tamawashi at 3-8. Tamawashi comes in low under the armpits, but Nishiki Fuji circles back and pulls him off balance to thrust him down for the win. Tamawashi has looked a little bit rough. This is closing on double-digit losses for him, while Nishiki Fuji evens up. So let's hope that Tamawashi can get 1 or 2 more wins before the end of things. Ura at 5-6 versus Asa Koryu at 7-4. Both of these men are from Osaka, and today they're meeting for the first time in their hometown. Asa Koryu charges forward hard, forcing Ura back, who tries to withstand it with his classic outstretched right leg, but just slides along on that foot, and then finally takes a step back and it goes over the edge to give Asa Koryu his Kachikoshi. So Ura is going to have to work hard over the next couple of days to get his winning record. Shodai comes up against Asahakoryu, both men at 7-4. Shodai's had a pretty good tournament so far. Asakoryu comes in fast and Shodai throws some initial resistance at him, but he tries to fight for a low left grip, but Asa gets the right hand in strong and stays low to force him out for his Kachikoshi, so Shodai will have to try again tomorrow. Oshoma at 4-7 versus Shishi at 5-6. A really soft tachi from both men, as I think they're just cagey, and they wind up sort of slapping and flailing at each other for quite a while. Shishi gets a left hand on the belt, which Oshoma then tries to lock at the elbow and swing into a throw, but Shishi keeps moving, keeps his balance, and eventually just decides to abandon that grip and switch back to thrusting him, which manages to push Oshoma out of the ring, handing him the Machikoshi and bringing Shishi back even. Kin Bozan at 6-5 goes up against Hakano Fuji 3-4-4. You'll remember he was out for 4 days with that injured right toe ligament. Kin Bozan comes in initially with a 2-handed thrust right at the throat and then gets a deep left-handed belt grip and just shows off how little resistance Hakano Fuji can give given the injury on his foot, and just sort of easy and almost gently marches him back out. And once that pressure's on the foot that he has to resist with, he just can't. Fuji Seiyun at 8-3 comes up against Takanosho at 7-4. Takanosho's been on a bit of a skid, but today he blasts into Fuji Seiyun and then slaps him down hard to take his Kachikoshi. So a good move for him, gets him back into a winning record after 2 bad 5-10 tournaments. So looks like his new training regimen with the former Takakeisho is really starting to show results. Fujinokawa at 5-6 comes up against Toronto Umi at 3-8. Now, Toronto Umi's beat him twice before, but this time Fujinokawa shoots right off the blocks to get a deep inside grip and force him out to pull up to an even 6-6. Wakataka Kage comes up against Ichi Yamamoto, both men at 6-5. Wakataka Kage at Maegashira 1's trying to get back into the Sanyaku. Ichi Yamamoto is 3-1 against him, and his pushing attack starts off driving him back, but then he misses a thrust, which gives Wakataka Kage the opening to pull the arm and get in deep and march him back and out to get it within one of his winning records. So great move for him. Ichi Yamamoto still in it. Very real chance of him finishing strong. Koto Shoho at 9-2 versus Yuusho Fuji at 5-6. Koto Shoho, you'll remember, was in the lead with the pack there until taking his second loss. These guys are 1-1 against each other in the past. The two of them just get into a brawling, thrusting battle in the middle, which eventually Koto Shoho turns into a slapdown win. So Yoshino Fuji, who's been an absolute star rocketing up the ranks, is now in danger of having his first losing record ever as a professional. So Koto Shoho gets his double-digit wins. I'd expect him to get probably a special prize. Wakamoto Haru at 2-9 comes up against Abi, who's effectively the same at 2-4-5. But remember, those 5 came because of a lumbar fracture. Abi comes in hitting hard with both hands and just deflects Wakamoto Haru to the left somehow, and then gets behind him and follows him out quickly. So it looks like a lumbar fracture isn't as bad as whatever calf injury Wakamoto Haru happens to have. I have no idea what's going on with his leg other than it's just sort of wrapped up. I'm going to try and dig into some more details. Maybe it's some sort of like tendon issue, but the guy has nothing in him right now. He's just barely. I don't know why he shows up every day. He's not injured enough to pull out, but he's not injured enough. But he's not strong enough to get like real wins. So who knows what's going on there? Oho at 5-6 comes up against Atami Fuji at 7-4. So the Shin Komusubi Atami Fuji has actually only beaten Oho twice in their 7 matches. Atami Fuji comes forward hard trying to use his size against Oho, but Oho just sort of lets him run himself into he just keeps retreating in a tactical way and pulls to the side and gets an under-shoulder swing downwind with a Katatsukashi. Atami Fuji comes forward and just gets off balance and is pulled forward by Oho into a quick win. Hirado Umi at 5-6 comes up against Takayasu at 6-5. You remember Takayasu started this tournament strong, but he has been dropping match after match. Hirado Umi comes in quick, gets under, and chugs him out quickly. Takayasu's mental game must be absolutely crushed to lose this many matches in a row after starting so strong. The only explanation is maybe his old lower back injury is flaring up again. I know he had issues with it. Other top division wrestlers, just given their size, often run into these lower back pains. So maybe he's got a nerve or something that's bothering him. But to lose effectively 6 in a row is wild. Aonishiki at 5-6 comes up against Daisho at 4-7. This is the worst tournament of the Ozeki's career, and this just keeps going today. Daisho comes in with his hard thrusting style, absolutely batters him and shoves him out at the edge there. So both men now at 5-7. Could this be Aonishiki's first losing tournament of his career? Just like Yoshino Fuji, these guys have only known success up until now. Aonishiki having a little bit more, but this could be a real test of his mental strength and his ability to learn lessons through losses. So second Chase Pack leader Goroyama 9-2 comes up against Kodozakura at 7-4. Goroyama comes forward in his classic style with his hardest hit, tries to follow it up, but Kodozakura plays a smart defensive game. He circles back into the left to stabilize himself against the attack, and then turns around and starts pushing and thrusting himself. He never lets Goroyama get on the belt, so he turns his momentum sort of against him and manages to turn the match back and force him back out the other side of the ring to claim his Kachikoshi. That is his 9th win against Goroyama. He really seems to have the guy's number, as he's only dropped 1 match to him in the past. And finally, our match of the day, the one that I think kind of sets what's going to happen for the rest of the tournament. But Hoshoryu at 9-2 comes up against Kirishima, who leads at 10-1. Now, these guys have fought each other 24 times in the past. Hoshoryu has a slight lead at 13-11, but that's basically even when it comes to these guys' styles. Kirishima comes in and gets an outside left grip, and these guys go back and forth across the dohyo, wrestling for position until Kirishima manages to pivot and pulls off another beautiful Uwatanage throw to stay the solo leader in this tournament. He's now 11-1. You've got Hoshoryu back at 9-3, Gonoyama at 9-3. Kono Shoho is chasing at 10-2, but I really don't see a world where he can, like, basically this is Kirishima's tournament to lose. You know, he's got 3 more days of fighting, and barring some upsets, I really think this is going to be the tournament winner here, and with his 11th win here, I think he's also locked himself a re-promotion to Ozeki. It's no guarantee, but I think it's very hard to argue against it, given that, you know, he's doing this from the Sekiwake position as well. But it was a great day today for sumo. I'm disappointed in Hoshoryu's loss, but Kirishima's another awesome wrestler who's looking in top form right now, and I'm really happy for him. Anyways, come back tomorrow for day 13 results, and I'll see you on the dohyo. Maple Sumo is a No Plot Only Lore production. Check out our other podcasts at noplot onlylore.com.